would you stay till the morning light? Or would you follow me? Or would you let it be if I leave tonight?
Hey everyone, welcome back to Sweet Yellow House. It's time for our weekly craft, and today I have 6 projects for you. And let's get started. So project 1 is actually some wicker hanging baskets, and I got some inspiration from Market on this particular craft. And so I have 2 baskets that I thrifted a while back, and they're one is larger than the other. So I'm going to start off by measuring out some thick twine or from the dollar store. I got this. They have a thinner one, but this one is actually the thicker one. I'm wrapping this around the edge just so that I can get a measurement, and then what I want is to extend this rope in 3 different sections of this basket. So I'm gonna measure it, divide that by 3, and then make the marks on my basket of where I want to cut the holes out. And I'm doing that with these little plier cutter thingies, and I'm just making a mark and cutting out a couple of those basket weaves there, just big enough for that rope to fit through there, as you can see. So once I get it to where I want it, I'm taking a glue gun and I'm just gluing down those raw edges just so that they don't grab on anything or break off even more. Just kind of secures those down into place. So here I have the thinner twine from the dollar store, and I'm going to use this to wrap the bigger rope into place. So I'm gonna glue it and wrap it with the smaller twine. So here you see me sticking it in, wrapping it under the edge of that basket, and then I'm using that twine to wrap it to secure it into place. So, and as I'm wrapping, I am using my glue gun and gluing that down. So I do that for all 3 here. And here you see me, I'm just kind of measuring it to see how long I want those ropes to be. And once I get that measured off, then I tie it into place, and then I take one of those ropes down to make a loop, and now I'm wrapping that with the smaller twine. Once I get it wrapped to where it's pretty sturdy, I'm cutting off the excess. I'm gluing a little bit down at the bottom, and then I'm going to finish kind of wrapping that, making sure that it's secure and nothing's going to come loose. So as I'm wrapping, I'm gluing, wrapping, gluing until I get it where I want. And then I'm going to cut off any excess that's there so everything looks really clean. And then the last step I'm going to do, and you don't have to do this, believe me, when I started it, I was a little bit scared. I thought it was going to get out of control, but it wasn't. Do it outside because it does smoke a little bit. But by lighting the little hairs on the rope, it kind of cleans it up and gives it a more manicured look. And that's how those turned out. I've had these baskets laying around for several months, probably a good 2 years, and I finally found a way to use them. So project 2 is a silver footed riser is what I'm calling it, and this is something that I thrifted a while back, and the wood piece actually came off of a dollar spot little riser from Target. So I just removed the top, and once I figured out that it fit on this little round silver riser well, and so the first thing I'm going to do is actually sand it down because it's a little bit discolored and damaged and stained. So I'm just going to sand it down, just getting rid of kind of like you know, all of that and smoothing out any edges and stuff like that that might be there. I'm going to take my dark and decrepit liquid patina from DIY, and I'm going to use this to stain this little piece of wood. I'm not even sure if it's real wood. It seems to me like it might be more of a kind of a compressed situation. So, but I'm just using this to stain it darker, and then to also kind of seal it to give it some protection. So I'm just brushing that on, and then I'm going to use a paper towel to wipe it back. And then anywhere that I see might need a little bit more, then I'm going to go back with and dip my paper towel. So I'm doing front and back and making sure that I'm doing around the edge so that everything is a very you know, a constant color. So I'm trying to make it look as even as I can. So here you see me just grabbing the paper towel and doing that. So then I'm going to grab my IOD. This is a new packet from them, and this is actually called the seed catalog transfer packet, and I decided on a transfer that I like. And here I'm just kind of cutting off any of the excess because I just want to make sure that I get it centered. It's hard to do, for me at least, if I have square edges and sticking it on a, you know, a round object. So I just trimmed around the sides, and so that way I could get it placed really well. So I did let that dark and decrepit dry overnight, just so that I could make sure that that transfer was going to transfer well. And then I came back the next day and added that. So just, I know it looks like I did it right back to back, but I didn't. So here you see I'm just putting it down. I'm burnishing it with the carrier sheet, and then I'm going to use the liquid patina and put a nice heavy coat over the top of that transfer to make sure that it is secured down and it doesn't get damaged from anybody putting anything on top of this. I really like the look of the silver of something more you know, elegant versus the rustic wood. That's kind of like my thing. I like the elegance of something versus a really rustic, you know, the combination is something that I enjoy. So now I'm getting a Gorilla Glue clear grip glue, and I'm just going around the edge of that little riser here. I think this is probably like a little casserole holder thing. It probably had like a glass insert at some point. So once I get that glue down, I just kind of measure to make sure it's all even, and then I'm gonna press that down, make sure that it's secure, and I let that dry, and that's how that came out.
I can see that you miss me. Would you stay till the morning light, or would you follow me, or would you let it be? If I leave tonight, we could do this right. We'll find the remedy.
So project 3 is a candle holder or vase is what I'm calling it, and I am actually missing some footage from this because my program that I use to film decided that it wanted to update. So I'm just going to tell you what I did. I had this candle holder, and I actually drilled a hole in the top of it, and then what I did was I used the IOD mold. I used the Laurel mold and the IOD air dry clay, and I made a mold and stuck it around the rim of that. The reason that I did that was because of me taking the top to drill a hole in it. Kind of damaged the top, so that's why I put the ring around with the clay, the mold, and let that dry. Once that was dry, I went in with the Dixie Belle patina paint in iron, and I'm just doing a first coat over that. You saw in my vlog last week that I actually had thrifted a bunch of the candle holder globes that have like the little part in the bottom that's supposed to go on top of the candle holder. So I had a bunch of these, so you'll see in several of these projects where I actually use those to kind of Frankenstein some of these projects together to make you know, one project for each of those globes and stuff. So anyhow, I put on the second coat of the iron patina paint, and as you'll see here, as I'm putting it on, I'm using the Dixie Belle patina paint spray in the green, and I spray that on, and then you see here, this is the globe that I'm going to use, and because I drilled the hole on top of that, I'm going to put that globe with that bottom part into that hole. So I use the glue to stick that, I squeeze it down into that hole that I had created, and then I'm going to stick that globe inside of there. After I kind of got done with that, I did use the blue patina paint spray from Dixie Belle as well, and sprayed that just so that I could get a little bit more variegated color, you know, a little more depth of color in that. And you can see that here, how it kind of switches from green to blue with that, and there's some rust spots in there as well from those sprays. So Project 4 is a bumblebee cloche. This is what the cloche looked like when I bought it. I purchased it from Michael's and it was like 60% off. The first thing I did was actually take that out and spray paint it with the Behr matte black spray paint, and I let that dry. Then I grabbed my Dixie Belle patina paint in copper, and I'm going to do a first coat with that. When you use this, if you haven't used it for a while or if it's a new bottle, you should kind of shake it up and get all those minerals in there, because there's actually metal in that paint, and that's actually what reacts to that spray. So here I'm just going through, and unfortunately there's really not a fast way to do this with a paintbrush, and when you're painting chicken wire, it's gonna be time consuming. So just prepare yourself, because if you use a big brush, at least for me, using a big brush, you're gonna have gobs of paint coming off if you don't kind of use a smaller brush and kind of go carefully through it. So this did take me a little bit longer, like I said, because you know, you're kind of have to be very strategic about where you're putting that paint, because you are painting chicken wire. You know, it's easier obviously to paint it when you're using spray paint, but they don't have this in spray paint, so you know, you got to do it by hand. So I let the first coat dry, and then when I went back with the second coat, and because the nature of this is not a flat surface, it is chicken wire, I decided in the way that I was going to do it was to actually put the paint on and spray as I went, because you take a little bit longer to add this paint, and it could dry on you before you get back to it. So you can see here, I painted and sprayed, painted and sprayed, painted and sprayed, and that's how that went. So I used the Modern Masters green patina spray. You've seen me use this before. It actually works with the Dixie Belle patina paint, so you are able to do that if that's what you have on hand. I didn't spray this with a matte clear coat, but I would recommend that you do that, because this has a tendency to keep going if you don't. I did go back and realize that I should have done that, and I will do that. I'm gonna just go ahead and spray it with like a matte top coat. So, and that's how that turned out. I was really happy with this. I really liked the way it turned out. The gray kind of didn't do it justice. But this, it looks like copper and it looks really fancy, and with that patina on there, it just adds a lot of character to it.
If I leave tonight, we could do this right. We'll find the remedy. Or would you stay with me now till the morning light?
So project 5 is modern to rustic candelabra. The first thing that I did with this candelabra is I took it outside, and again I sprayed it with that bare matte black spray paint. You could see here that really how modern it is. So I'm taking the patina paint from Dixie Belle in bronze, and I am going to do a first coat with this. The technique I use for this is a little bit different than what I normally use. So the first thing I did was I did a first coat, and this paint here again kind of not bubbles up, but it kind of like, you know, it doesn't do like a flat coat. You kind of have to kind of keep brushing it to get it to kind of do a full coverage coat. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just going through and I'm doing my very first coat on this candelabra first. The second coat, what I'm going to do is actually mix some salt wash in with that paint, because I really want to make this kind of rustic because it's way too modern for me. So I'm putting that salt wash in there, mixing it around so that I can give this candelabra a lot of texture, and that's what I'm doing. So you see here, I'm not actually swiping, I'm pouncing that to give it some really good, great texture, so it kind of looks very rustic and you know, old and stuff. So with that salt wash added to that paint, I'm just going to go through and do a complete coat and let that dry, and then I'm actually going to do a third coat with this, and it's going to be the same thing. As I'm adding more paint to this, I'm going to be spraying as I go. So, and this is really because I want that paint to really chunk up with that patina spray as I go. I'm really wanting some texture on this. So here you see I'm using the spray bottle and the patina spray in green, and I'm just using that and I'm just spraying. So I'm dabbing, and as this dries, it's getting very clumpy. You can see my brush there, and so I'm just adding that clumpy paint, spraying it, adding clumpy paint and spraying it, and this gives it tons of texture. So again, here I had a lot of those globes that I got from thrifting from a lady, and I have several that are, I had 6 that were the same, and I have a seventh one that I'm putting in the middle that's actually big. Bigger than the rest. So I put that in the middle, and then I just made sure that everything else fit. And then what I did was I used the glue gun to put in the metal part. You see here in the metal part. Then I put glue around the bottom of those globes, and then I stuck them down in there to be secure there. So I really like the way this turned out. It's honestly, I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with all these little globes and stuff, and I've had this candelabra. I actually have 2 of them, so I'm going to be doing something similar with the other one, but I just felt like this was really different. You could actually use these for vases if you wanted to, and put an arrangement of small flower buds there on your mantle or something. So this is something that you could put candles in, or fill it with you know, fake flowers, or even real flowers if you wanted to, you know, make little bouquets in each one. That would be really pretty. So that's how that came out. I'm really happy with this. I just think that it was a great use of 2 items that you know, you wouldn't necessarily think would go together. So project 6 is cute little wall holder, is what I'm calling it. But this is actually what it is, and this is more or less a learning lesson for myself and everyone else. So here we go. I had this, I thrifted it. The first thing that I was going to do was paint it black with little black dress from DIY mixed with some salt wash. Okay, as I am mixing this paint together, of course my head is spinning 100 miles a minute. I put the paint in there, I put a little bit of water to thin it out, and now I'm gonna add some salt wash to this. I put salt wash in there. You'll see I put quite a bit because I want it really thick. I want a look of cast iron with this piece. So once I get all of that mixed together and where I want it, I'm actually going to let it sit for about 5 minutes just so that it can kind of thicken up some more. So then I had a bright idea, and this was my, like I said, not so bright idea. I wanted to drill a hole into this top because, again, I had one of those cute little globes that I wanted to use on this little wall sconce. So I'm measuring it here and I'm marking the center so that I can then drill a hole in this, and I'm using the biggest drill bit you could see here. And what I didn't realize until I started drilling this is that this, I thought it was more of like a wood type thing, and it wasn't. It's more like not porcelain, but like maybe, I don't know. But you see here, I'm pushing, and then all of a sudden, wham, it just goes right through it and breaks out the bottom there. It's almost like a plaster type resin material. So I am thinking to myself, okay, I might have to scrap this. So I start out by grabbing the bigger pieces on that have broke out, and I'm going to see if I can glue it all back together. Because at this point, if I'm going to texture it pretty heavily with some paint with salt wash, maybe you won't see the cracks, is what I'm thinking. But then as I'm going, I'm realizing that there's a bunch of that has shattered and there's no way to put that back together. So I'm going to fill it. I'm going to fill it. So I start just kind of shoving paper in there so that when I put clay on over that, it actually has something behind it supporting it. So I did that. I grabbed my IOD Classic Elements mold and my IOD air dry clay, and I'm gonna make some molds to cover that hole and make it look like it never happened. So I just am putting a layer of clay down to finish kind of filling that up a little bit. Just to kind of give it some extra support over that paper, and then using my little palette knife there to kind of smooth it out. And then I am going to use that mold, and I'm going to make use that, make 2 molds that are the same, and I'm going to put it on either side of that bottom piece so it looks cohesive. So here I make the first one, and then I'm going to put that into place on that one side where it got busted out of there, and I'm just using my fingers to kind of smooth that over. I am smoothing out the edges so it kind of melds into that sconce, and then but I'm not getting rid of all of the detail. So the reason why I'm actually filling in on the other side with another mold is because like I said, I want it to look cohesive, like it's the same on both sides. So I put that on the other side and I'm smoothing it out again. I'm kind of filling a gap that's in the middle of that and just making sure that everything looks good together. So once I got that where I wanted it, I actually let it dry overnight. And I came back the next day and decided that I was happy with the way that it looked, and so I was going to start to paint it then. So here we're back with that, and I'm going to take that paint that I mixed up the day before. So I just saran wrapped that paint, and I am going to then do 2 really heavy coats over the front, and I'm going to make sure that I cover that bottom really well and give that bottom where I repaired it some good texture so that everything looks like it's cohesive, it's melded all together, and nothing ever happened. And I'm not going to tell anybody that I did that. Only you and I know. So I did the first coat, and then I dried it with my embossing gun. And then I'm going to do the second coat and dry that again with my embossing gun. And then I will actually turn this over and paint and dry the back of that as well.
You make up your mind that I'm nowhere to find. I'm standing right here. I know that I told you we're over.
Here you see that I'm actually just scraping off some tag stuff before I paint the back. Just scraping that off, just cleaning it up a little bit.
I can see that you miss me. Would you stay till the morning light, or would you follow me?
I'm sorry if you could hear some banging. The wind is blowing a little bit today, so I have the house open. You could hear I have a screen that comes down over my back patio just to kind of block the sun and give us a little bit of privacy or whatever. And it got left down, so the wind's kind of blowing it around. So just so that you know, this is just to show you. I just wanted to show you that things like this happen. Sometimes, you know, stuff happens and you just kind of have to roll with it. But I just wanted to show you that this kind of stuff happens to me sometimes. And then, you know, I mean, we have the tools, the know-how to fix it, and so that these things, even though something like this happened, it doesn't end up in the landfill, or we don't give up on it and throw it away. We have all these really great products and tools to fix it, and sometimes even make it better than it was before. So just remember, you know, when you have those items that are kind of like, you know, I have one of this and one of this, and let me see if I can stick those together, or oh dang, I drilled right through that and cracked it. But you know, like I said, we have glue, we have clay, we have paint. There's always a way to fix something, you know. So once I got everything dry, I take out my Jolie finishing wax, and I'm going to do a coat of a layer of clear wax over the whole thing. And this is because I want to seal it really well, and I'm gonna do front and back with the wax, just like I said, to give it that protective layer, but also so that when I put this white wax on by DIY, I'm gonna be able to really rub that into all of that texture, but then get a paper towel and wipe it back to where I like it. You know, my idea for this is that it actually looked like a cast iron piece, and I think with this kind of technique it definitely takes on that look. So you see me here, I'm just wiping it back, and that clear wax being on there makes it easy for me to do that. I just wanted to let y'all know that I did work on my shipping costs, and I did put a flat rate in there for shipping, and then for like the first item, and then any additional item just adds $1 to that shipping. So I'm gonna see how this is gonna work for me. I have gotten some really great advice from Sammy from Unicorn Dust Designs, and she has kind of helped me trying to figure out the shipping. You know, when you're working within a website and the way they design it, you have to kind of work within those parameters. So I am actively working on it. I am actively trying to make that better. And so head on over to my website. And now those items that you've been wanting, but the shipping has been too much, you know, it may be better for you now. So don't forget to head on over there and see if, you know, it works out a little bit better for you. So once I have that wax there, and I've let it kind of cure there, then I'm going to take that little globe, and that's another one that I've gotten from the thrift, from that little thrifting haul that I did a while back, and I'm going to glue that in there on top of there. This I really love because I can use this for a base, or put a candle in it, a tea light in it, and it's just a little cute wall sconce that you can kind of tuck into a corner, or put in a, you know, a hallway, or anything like that, or in a kitchen, but on a cabinet, you know, to add some flowers, and it just looks great. So I hope you like my projects today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to go over to my website and check out our new shipping rates, and maybe purchase some of those items that you've been wanting. And I appreciate all the support and love that I've been getting lately. I'm just so thankful for it, and I hope y'all have a great weekend, and I will see you soon.